Wait, you cut out. I can't hear you now. I can't hear you.
He touched the mic. Really wanted to know, was your family and friends, were they somewhat like, I'm going to have to use the word jealous. Like, were some of your friends like jealous of the weight loss? Like, I'm just picturing, I don't know. I've never been 350 pounds or what. I'm just picturing your friends, and some of them are also at your size, and you lose 150 pounds and you're getting all this attention. You're on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You're like famous and you lose all this weight and they haven't. Have you lost friends over that? Have they been supportive? Like, have the people been good? Like, have they been happy for you?
Yeah, so I've been very lucky in that kind of aspect. My whole family was very supportive because they were also scared, right? Like they were scared for me, especially like my mom. Like she would literally, like, she's told me, like, now hindsight, but she used to like sometimes come into my room and look at me, and she'd look at this big lump on my bed, is what she said, and she would just start crying because she had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. And that's because, like, growing up, we were very, very poor. We didn't have much money, so she always felt like it was her fault and all this stuff. So she was incredibly supportive, and so were pretty much all of my friends, because again, they all knew that I wanted to lose weight. They had known that I'd struggle with it my whole life, so they were just all, for the most part, really, really happy. I only ever had like one friend that like got like really mad. I think he was under the influence of something when he messaged me all this crap on Facebook and just like all this really mean stuff. But for the most part, everyone that I've known has been really, really happy for me. I mean, I've grown apart from some people, but I think that's more so an aspect of just growing up. Like I was 20 when I lost the weight. I'm 28 now, right? Like things change in that amount of time anyways. But I've been really, really lucky. And as far as like people reaching out, most of the people that reach out are just like asking questions now. Like, I want to lose weight. What do I do? And I remember when I first lost like the first 100 pounds or whatever, I was like, why are people asking me for weight loss advice? I used to be almost 400 pounds. You think I know what I'm doing? Like, because I didn't. I really didn't know what I was doing when I lost the first bulk of my weight. I was just cutting calories and like praying for the best, really, right? So I remember people would ask me, I'm like, I would just never answer. I was like, I don't freaking know. Don't ask me.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like when people just go up to the biggest bodybuilder in the room that's taken every drug in the world and say, hey, give me a cycle for a beginner that I don't want to endanger my health. And the guy's thinking, I just got good genetics and do a lot of trenbolone sandwiches. I don't know what I'm doing. And half the bodybuilders that have all the muscle, they don't know what they're doing. You can't just look at the big guy and say, they probably know what they're talking about. Trust me, there's a lot of IFBB pros that they don't know anything. It's shocking, but it's the genetics, the drugs, and it's just, wow.
I mean, dude, I know we kind of already talked about this, but this is another thing that social media has absolutely made way worse. Because people will see someone with like a lot of followers doing something, whatever it is, and they assume that they know what they're talking about. Like, so we're not calling anyone out. I'll use myself. I'm putting out videos on my second channel where I like show my triathlon training. And so people are watching those and they start asking me questions. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have a coach. I can't give you any answers. Like, I'm freaking learning. Like, I haven't even done a triathlon yet. Why do you think I would know? But it's just so, like, people are just so used to, I think a lot of people see followers and they equate that to knowledge, which I would feel like it's the opposite. If the more followers someone has, most of the time, the less you should trust what they have to say.
Usually it just means they have longer hairstyles and they're extremely good looking on the Richter scale. That's what at least baby Nakey and Gert, that's what they figured. They did a meta-analysis on this. Some people who've watched my channel, they'll know about this.
Mm-hmm. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What's been harder, losing the weight or just keeping it off? Because I have a strong opinion on this, but I just want to hear, like, from you, what's your opinion?
So I also have a strong opinion on this. I personally think losing weight is relatively easy.
Same.
It's a very simple equation. Now, just because something's easy doesn't mean that it's easy for everyone. Like, I think it's more simple than it is easy, but it's a very simple thing.
I think it's easy for everyone to lose some weight if they're overweight, but it's very hard to lose to the point of reaching their goals. That's why I keep saying, close your eyes and Imagine your dream physique, open them, you ain't getting it halfway there. That makes more sense because it's so hard to go past where your genetics want you to be. So like when you dieted down to that physique competition shape, like that's like leaner, you have to watch the calories more. That's where the binge eating is going to happen, and the body dysmorphia and the mental stress and the weakness and the struggles. But as you decide, hey, wait, that's a bit low for me, this is more where I can maintain, like perhaps now, that is what is a realistic goal for someone to achieve. So, I mean, let me let you finish here.
I'm the same way, so it's all good. Just kind of speaking on what you were just saying, and we might disagree on this, but I personally think, especially if you're or someone that has lost a lot of weight, but just in general, I feel like most people should avoid doing bodybuilding shows.
I agree. It's so difficult. I'm a pro. I take this challenge on, and I'm like, this is not for everyone. Do you know how hard, like 9%, I can kind of maintain this. When I'm 5%, I feel like I'm on death's door. I feel miserable. I have no energy. I look great. I look in the mirror and I'm like, hey, I like what I see, but my sex drive is cut in half. I can't sleep. I don't recover well. I'm weak as shit in the gym. I was stronger natural than on the most large cycle I've ever done. Was stronger as a natural and felt better than was on every drug in the world. And people might not believe it. I'm literally lifting more weight when I was natural than on every drug, because you're dieting so hard. Your body just can't handle it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's in my opinion, it's magnified for someone that has lost a lot of weight, because you obviously struggled with food to get to the size that you were. And then you're just like almost trading the struggle out for something else to be that lean. But when it comes to like
the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. And it's honestly I have very few regrets, but it's one regret that I have was like sharing, because I had a whole series on my YouTube channel when I did the physique show. And looking back, I'm like, I probably really got people to want to do it as well. And from what I've seen, for the most part, they're always outliers. For the most part, it's usually not a good idea. My
personal advice for people is, they say, I don't know if I should do a show. What do you think I should? My advice is, never do a show unless your answer is, I want to do a show.
Yeah.
That's the person that I want. That's who I want to coach. You want to do a show, not, do you think I'm good enough? Do you think I should? I'm not sure. It's such a commitment. You need to be just like, I am doing that show. Just like if you said, I want to climb Mount Everest, or I want to do an Ironman, I don't just be like, I'm kind of thinking about getting into triathlons and doing an Ironman. It takes 16 hours to do. What do you think? Are you kidding me?
No,
let's start
don't
with getting in shape, and then we'll decide later.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think it's because, again, it's become so popular on social media. So, and another thing, I mean, now we're kind of just, I feel like we're just talking crap, but whatever. Another thing is like, people will be like lifting for 6 months and they're like, I want to do a show. And I'm like, with what? With what muscle? Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you should have some muscle before you decide you want to do a show. But I mean, going back to the original question, when it comes to losing weight for me was a relatively simple, easy kind of thing. It took a while, but when it comes to one, maintaining, and two, adding size, adding muscle, it's much more difficult. It just, in general, there are more, like if we're talking about adding size, like gaining weight, gaining quote unquote good weight, right? Muscle. Like you have to, one, make sure you're in, at least in maintenance, maybe a little bit higher. I know some people like, you don't have, I'm not saying you have to be like
building muscle in a deficit.
Yeah, I don't think you have to like be eating, 1,000 calories over your maintenance, but like, be eating enough, but not eating too much, right? So you have to be there. Make sure you're eating enough protein. Make sure you're training sufficiently to build muscle. Like there is just more variables to gain muscle than to lose weight. You have to be more
perfect with your training and diet if your body fat is at a lower level than if you're just free fall eating. It is easier. You can, of course, do it, unless you get too, some people have, I call it main gaining. Some people try to maintain too lean a level. Like they'll hire me and they'll be like, I want to be 8% body fat and then get jacked. And I'm like, but you're 42% now. Like 8% is leaner than me. Like really? Like maybe get down to 20 and then go from there. But it's like, they don't want to hear 20. They want to hear single digits. And it's like, it's not realistic.
Yeah. And then, so like, there's all of that aspect, but then on top of all of that, it takes longer. Losing weight compared to building muscle, losing weight is so fast.
Add a zero to it.
Yeah. Building muscle takes years naturally, right? Years to put on like noticeable size. Now, I will say there is a big difference mentally in losing weight versus gaining muscle, because for a lot of people, when they're losing weight, it's not just the numbers. Like, I think we all know that, right? It's obviously more complicated than that. But if I'm just talking about the strict numbers and the time that it takes, losing weight is a more simple equation than gaining muscle. But for certain people, losing the weight might be so hard that it never happens, right? Like, we all know people that try and lose weight and it doesn't happen. So I don't want to negate that. But for me personally, putting on muscle you have to be more patient. You have to understand it's going to take a longer time.
Yeah, you give me somebody that's 100 pounds overweight and they say, you know, my goal is to lose 50 pounds. Or if they said my goal is to gain 5 pounds of muscle, to me, that's about equal. 50 pounds of fat, to me, probably going to be pretty easy to do that in whatever amount of months. And to gain 5 pounds of muscle, probably pretty easy, but it's 50 compared to 5. But what really hurts me is I want to lose 50 pounds of muscle, or sorry, I want to lose 50 pounds of fat and put on like 20 pounds of muscle. I don't know, probably 6 months from now. I'm like, the fat part, we can do that. Yeah. The muscle, I mean, we're talking years.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's something that I feel, especially, again, I always compare it to my own, my people, but like the people that are used, because so many of us that lose a lot of weight, we're used to that progress pretty quick, right? Relatively. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I lost 100 pounds in a year. That's a normal number for a lot of people, right? I lost 100 pounds in a year, especially if you have 200 pounds to lose.
Yeah, 2 pounds a week body. For someone who's 300 pounds. That's very realistic.
But then to put on 20 pounds, even for a beginner, 20 pounds of muscle in a year, that's relatively,
that's really good with PEDs.
Yeah, exactly.
20 pounds in a year, that's impressive.
So it's just, you have to switch that. You have to understand that losing weight is a faster process than gaining muscle. It just is, and it will be every time, even if you're on steroids. Like, it just.
And tell me if this is true for you, because I feel this is true for me. And this is why, to me, it makes it so difficult to keep it off. It's because on the way down, every week you're seeing in the mirror, wow, like I can see this line, that's more ripped. And then you get to your goal. And now what? Every week you look and you see hopefully about the same thing. So there's no longer that motivation to look at them and see something different. So it's just like I'm 45 and I'm not on drugs, all the good stuff. I'm on an HRT dose. And then I have people commenting saying, well, you haven't put on any muscle in whatever amount of years. And I'm like, I'm doing bike training on top of everything, and I'm off all the drugs, and I'm just trying to maintain what I got, and I'm old. Just the fact that I can look about the same is gaining. Mm-hmm. But they don't get that. It's like, oh, you should be bulking and cutting and doing it. I'm like, well, every time I go to the gym, I don't see like I'm better because I'm old. I have gone through that progress. So it's harder to be motivated to stay the same when you've already gotten the gain. Just like it's when you started bike riding, your times got so much faster. And then after 6 months, it's hard to take 10 seconds off of your time. So the motivation is lower. And then eventually you're going to be 45. You're not going to bike as fast as when you're 35. And the motivation has to be there just to slowly lose it. Same happens in the gym. I can't bench press 530-pound world records anymore, but I still have to go there and train. So, talk about that, because you've lost the weight, you've kept it off. You're a success story. You want to, explain to other people, they're going to do the same thing.
So this is why I personally believe that intrinsic motivation is so important, because if you do not find something that you genuinely enjoy doing, eventually, and that might be a year, it might be 2 weeks, who knows? Eventually, you're not going to want to do it anymore. Right. So if I wasn't intrinsically motivated to go to the gym, to do these bike sessions, to do these runs, after a while, I don't know how long it would be, I would have stopped. Right. But I genuinely enjoy it. That's why I don't try and be like, everyone needs to do this, because not everyone is going to want to do that. So find something you enjoy and do that thing. Like that's the best advice I can give to anyone when it comes to working out, gym kind of stuff. I don't care what, like if you're doing a split that you freaking hate, but it's going to say it's 100% the best split, but you hate doing it, but you find a split that's 80% as good, but you will do it every time and enjoy it, do that one, right? Like, exactly. And it doesn't even have to be a split in the gym. It can be going outside on a bike ride. You're like, I like doing underwater basket weaving as my fitness. Great. If you like doing that, that's the thing you should do. So that's like my biggest advice when it comes to that.
Glad you brought up intrinsic motivation, because in comparison to extrinsic motivation, and this is something that grinds my gears, aka pisses me off, is when they say, you're dieting for the plastic trophy. How many times you hear the plastic trophy? You think it's for that trophy. It's not for that at all. You do a show for the intrinsic motivation that you get from challenging yourself to be the best that you can be. And it gives you something to look forward to every single day. I am going to see what I can do. It's no different than climbing Mount Everest, just to put a flag at the top. It's not just to put it's the whole journey of it. So when I see people, it's a plastic trophy. It's not like it's money. It's like, do you think if you paid me $1 million, I would, well, maybe that's a lot of money. I might be extrinsically motivated to do the show, but like the money isn't worth it to do a show. Like you don't compete as a professional bodybuilder for the prize. What is it? 10,000 for half the shows, unless it's the Olympia. That is not enough to suffer for 3 months. I'd rather get a job and just work and make that money. So you do it because you want to and like to do it. And if you don't, why the hell are you doing it?
Yeah. And I think that perfectly explains, I think, why there are so many people that end up getting into doing these shows and end up falling off or like rebounding so hard, is because they got into it because they wanted to look good on Instagram. They wanted to impress XYZ person. And instead it wasn't like a thing that they really wanted to do. And so it's like, you know, I know that some people probably think it's good that like bodybuilding and like physique shows have blown up, but I think that there's a lot of negatives to that as well.
Yeah, you got to think, do I really like what I'm doing? Well, let's think about it. I've done 59 bodybuilding shows since I was a kid in high school, and I'm still doing them to this day. Do I really like triathlons? I was doing triathlons at the age of 13, and here I am racing bicycles in my room on a little game where I can see my character. Does it look like I like it? And why am I still doing it? Because I liked it. So find something you like, which you said, who cares if it's what it was, tiddlywinks underwater, basket weaving underwater, do something that keeps you fit and do it for the rest of your life. And, you know, as a phys ed teacher, I just want some, I don't care what it is, ballet, whatever, hopscotch, whatever's making you move, get out there and move.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree. That's why people always ask me, is this best for weight loss or is this? Should I do CrossFit or should I do bodybuilding? Should I do? And I'm like, do what you want. That will always be my answer. I will never talk bad about any sort of fitness. If you enjoy it, I'm here for it. I might not do it, but that doesn't mean that I don't think it's worthwhile, right? Giving it a shot. So
absolutely.
A question I have for you is I'm just curious, like when did you kind of realize, okay, because I think I've seen the comments on the first like version of this video interview style is like how you are in some videos versus how you are right now. This conversation we're having is very different, right? So was there like a specific moment when you were like, I don't want to say play a character, but I'm going to bring up my personality. Was there a moment where you're like, I'm going to do that? Or did it just kind of happen?
Some videos I would get more upset on, like, and I don't remember the specific ones, but I remember being more upset during videos or more aggressive or angry or more just, I guess, more passionate about it. And I remember just getting like angrier, and I'd speak out, and then the comments, I would read them. And I read every single comment until I think I got to 100,000. And that's a lot of comments, 100,000, reading everything hours a day. And I would do my cardio and I would read the comments and I would comment back. And then I was getting a lot of like, I'll call it like rewards for doing it. Like people would say, hey, I liked it when you did this. I did an Elliot Hulse video and I'm like, I'm just going to be like more uppity and kind of in your face and just talk a bit more. And then I started doing that and it became hard not to do it.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of comments, Greg, you scream too much. And I'm like, I sit there and I'm like, no screaming. And I try, and I literally now, all my videos, I say, I am not going to do any screaming. So that's how I go into it. And then I end up doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's kind of maybe it's a little bit toned down, unless the racist visit, unless it's like attacking my character. Like sometimes I get pissed off, and I know it's like don't care about what people think. Sometimes like when people say like you don't have integrity, or you're making shit up, or you're lying, or you don't care, or you're promoting people to have eating disorders. You promote being lean, and you promote, and I'm like, I promote healthy. What are you talking about? Mm-hmm. That literally pisses me off. Like when people just say something that I didn't say and try to make it look like I'm promoting people to be single digit body fat and just too lean despite anything. And I'm like, literally close your eyes halfway there. I promote not getting your goals.
Mhm.
Really, I'm a friggin' dream shutdown. Like, so that pisses me off. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that answers that. Like, I used to start, and now I trying to calm it down, trying to bring it down.
It's funny because we make videos on similar topics and we get similar, I think we have similar feelings when we're recording them. And so there are certain videos that I make where I'm like, very chill the whole time and I'm relaxed and whatever. But then there are certain ones, especially like usually if it's like a fitness industry person that's lying or whatever, I get pissed, right? And so I start kind of, my voice gets louder and then the comments it's just funny because now I get comments like, oh, you're channeling your inner Greg Doucette. And I'm like, it's literally just me getting like, I'm passionate about this stuff, right? I wouldn't be sitting here making, however many videos I've made if I didn't care about it, right? And so I don't know, it's just funny. It was just something that I noticed. Like
you're picking videos to do that are of interest and are passionate about. And when I'm telling, like when you argue with your friends behind the scenes, aren't you like going back and forth with each other? When you're arguing with your brothers, like I have a twin brother, a little brother, like big family. Isn't that not how you guys go at it? Like maybe some people are calm. I was a kid in school that got in trouble every freaking day because the teacher would be talking and I'd jump and interrupt. And I was that kid that was like, go to the office because I was just a loud kid and I was a joker. Like I was always trying to tell jokes in class and just be like the class clown. That was me. So I don't know. And I'm a debater. I was on debate team. I was into that whole aspect of arguing and it being fun. And I love to win. And at the same time, I don't care. So I'm very competitive in a debate. But if they make a good point, I'm like, wow, that was a good point. So I don't know. I'm good at accepting defeat at the same time as I really do want to win.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it, man. Like that's the main thing. Cause it's just interesting. Cause I'm sure a lot of people are kind of curious about that too, because I mean, it is like how you are in some videos versus how you are in other ones. I'm and whenever we talk about it, it's almost like it feels like it's like, oh, you're being fake. And I don't think that it's like that. It's just a heightened version of yourself, right? That's how I feel like
it's definitely not fake. Like it's weird. Like they say it's fake. I'm like, I'm not a good actor. I'm not that good. Like if I was in a movie, I'd feel uncomfortable and awkward. And I don't know, what was this thing when I was doing school teaching and you'd have a class, improv. I'm not good at that. Yeah. I'm like, well, it's like kind of, I don't even know. I feel weird doing it,
The way I see it is like, if someone was to watch a video of mine and I were to just like be talking like I would talk to someone, or like if no one was in the room, that would be so boring because I would just be like, all right, so like what's going on here? Like no one wants to watch that. So like I don't think it's being fake by just being a little bit more heightened, because whether or not you want it, like it feels like that, but you are kind of performing, like whether or not I'm not saying you're being fake, but it's like, this is entertainment to some extent. Right. And so it'd be kind of weird. I've seen videos and you can tell when someone's nervous and it's their first and they're just like, all right. So it's just like, it's hard to watch. It's not fun. It's not engaging. So I don't know.
When a singer grabs the mic and they're like, and they're dancing on stage, are they faking that they're having, when I'm at a party dancing, making circles, am I faking that? It's just, I'm having a good time. That's what I like to do. And when I'm speaking on a subject, it's normally I pick the ones I'm passionate about. Yeah, exactly. I'm not, who wants to see me talk about some boring topic that's boring? I did one of those videos. What's in my freaking gym bag? Well, here's a water bottle and here's my hair, here's my belt and my wrist. Well, that's boring. But where's the passion in that? But you talk about somebody made fun of me and somebody called me this and somebody said don't do cardio after midnight because you'll turn into a freaking gremlin. I mean, how are you not going to be a bit more amped up as you talk about that? But what's weird is people come up to me in the gym and they want to get a picture or something, and I'm not yelling at them and they think it's weird. And I'm like, I'm working out. Like, you think I'm going to scream at you between sets? That's weird for me. Like, it's like, why aren't you yelling? And I'm like, because I'm not recording a video and we're not debating a topic. Like, I don't know. I want to know this.
Oh God.
The six guys, there was a Michelle McDaniels. I think my thoughts will probably offend you. Michelle something. She posted a picture and it was her and after and the green face with the glasses. And was it the six guys? What is it?
So so she does cosplay, and so she was.
We both watch her.
Yeah. So
she watches this.
She was trying to make people. She was having people guess what she was cosplaying as, And I felt like she looked like the Six Flags guy from the commercials from Six Flags. You remember them back in the day when he would like dance?
I don't remember
like,
them. I'm like, this friggin' Six. And I'm like, what is this guy? I looked at it and right away I said, Steve Urkel. Remember Steve Urkel? I was like, why does this look like Steve Urkel with painted green face? So I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I got to bring this up during this. I'm going to be like, does it look like Steve Urkel? I made a comment. This is like right before going into this interview.
Well, when I see this on YouTube, I want there's to be some sort of editing with her face next to the Six Flags guy. Someone will be able to find what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, that's what it was.
If you haven't heard of the John Obese to Peace channel, be sure to go and check him out. Subscribe, especially if you're into the weight loss thing or you want to hear him talk about trending topics, because that's what he's going to talk about. Subscribe, click bell buttons, buy my cookbooks, training books, coaching plans, make me freaking richer than last time, and follow him, make him richer than ever. What do you got to sell? Anything you can sell?
No.
No. So spend all your money on me. You got more money. He doesn't have anything to sell. So that's even better. And until next time, we are out. You got to do this.
Wait, you cut out. I can't hear you now. I can't hear you.
He touched the mic.
Oh, there we go.
So those of you at home, technical difficulties. I went. So now we're back in business. So what I did is I pressed the mic. There's like a button here. And if you there you go. I might actually remember that. So if I didn't have him here, it would be done. I'd be like texting you on Instagram, being like, hey. So when are you going to race on Zwift?
I'm assuming probably not for a while, because I have my first triathlon is literally in a month from today. And so
I feel like you should do the races on Zwift. Like, I just feel like it's going to push you harder. Like, I know you have to taper at the end there and you don't want to but like on a hard day, I feel like my brother, editor Steve, he'll do like 2 hard races a week. He has a very specific training kind of that he's doing. But me, I just want to race all the time.
Yeah. I am so ignorant to all of this stuff. Right. So I listen to what my coach says, and like, I just, whatever she has me doing, I'm like, all right. Cause I mean, it's been working so far. Like for me, the biggest thing is I haven't had any real injuries. Like the biggest thing has been like a little ankle thing, but nothing to where it's like, I can't run for weeks. It's like, I'll have to take a day off maybe but like, so that's been the biggest thing. So for me, I'm just going to listen to what she has to say. And yeah, so that's kind of where I am with that, with the whole,
I guess where I took like exercise physiology, and I literally had for my one of my things was to coach. My brother made a Canada Games for cycling. I like had to write his training program to get him to do it. So he was like 16, 17 years old, riding like 2 hours in the shed on rollers. You had to balance yourself back then. They weren't so 2 hours concentrating in minus, it's cold out in the shed, freezing, and just riding. And he tried out for the team. And I said, you want to make the team? You show up on day 1 in mint shit, like peaked. So the tryouts start, like March. People are just starting to ride. He rode all winter, shows up the day, and he's the fastest guy on the team. And by the time the Canada Games hit, I think he was the slowest on the team of the 5 guys because they were catching up. But, Canada Games was a 4-year kind of thing. So he was the youngest, like 4 years, like say 16, 17. The other guys were 19, 20. So he's going up against 19, 20-year-olds, but he made the team. So that's all that mattered.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really excited to do the triathlon. Like I said, the swim is the thing that I'm most worried about. It's kind of sucks because it's in Texas and it's in a lake. So and it's the middle of July. So there's not going to be any wetsuits. And so I'm like, dang, like I wish I could wetsuit because that just helps you float. Like, but it's only 400 meters, and I've done 400 meters a good amount of times in training. Yeah. So I don't think I'll drown. So like my whole goal, like I usually swim the 400 in about 8 minutes. So in my head, I'm like, okay, it's probably gonna take longer, just because it's open water. For sure.
Stay with me. I just got to pee so bad.
No worries.
Yeah, so you're saying you can swim 400 meters in 8 minutes?
Yeah. So like usually when I do it in training, it's like it takes me about like 8 minutes. And so I'm thinking, even if it takes me 15, because like I've heard
It's not.
a lot of people are like, well, it's supposed to be 400 meters, but because you're not used to swimming in open water, you kind of do this, so you end up swimming more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, even if it takes me 15, okay, whatever. Because like I know the bike will be easy, the run will be nothing. So,
is it 20K bike and 5K run?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I think that's a sprint distance. Yeah.
Yeah, sprint distance. So I'm just looking forward to like getting a race under my belt. Like the reason we're even doing this one was because the one I'm doing in October is here in San Diego, and the restrictions have been much more here. I mean, compared to where you are, I know it's probably nothing, but like for a long time, like things were getting canceled again. They'd be like, okay, we're gonna do it this, and then
you realize it's probably way worse where I'm at.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Like,
so yeah, we don't have anything.
So my coach was just like, you should do one here because we've been training for this whole year, and for you not to do one would be a waste. So that's why I'm even doing the one in July, or the one in Texas. But the one here, I'm pretty sure will be wetsuit legal because the water here is always pretty cold, and it's in the bay, so it's not like a lake where the water is always kind of moving.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's called an international distance, so it's like a little bit shorter than an Olympic.
It's probably like 40K bike, 1.5K swim, maybe.
Yeah,
or 1.5.
It's a 1K swim.
Yeah.
I think the bike is right, and then it's a 9K run, which is so weird. Like
usually it's like 10 there at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's so strange, but that's the one that I've been like training for. Like that's the peak race. This one coming up in July.
This swim is going to be easy for you. You realize I did the triathlon at 13, and I was like, it was a kilometer. It took me 28 minutes, and I had no glasses. I couldn't see. I was swimming any way. Dude. I didn't have the stroke, so I did mostly the breaststroke.
Just like this.
What I'm doing. Yeah. And I mean, I got out of the water, my arms, I couldn't even hold the handlebars for the first bit of the bike. Like it was just like death. And then I had to keep going. But as I got used to it, it's nothing. But I mean, when I was on a swim team, and 400 meters would be like, it was like a 6-minute swim, swim for me. But that's with training. So 8's not bad. I see that as pretty good.
I'm pretty happy, man. When I first started training, I literally, and I'm sure this is everybody, but like I would do one length, right? 25 meters or 25 yards, whatever. Dude, I was like dead. Like that was all I could do, right? So now, like I can do 100 meters, like, because if I have a bad day, the 400 meter will be pretty hard. Like if I'm just like my breathing is off, like it feels difficult. But even if I have a bad day, I could do like 100-meter repeats relatively easily. So
you have no trouble at all.
Yeah. Oh, one thing
swimming in a lake, it's a breeze. Try an ocean. I've done ocean swims. 12 degrees in June in Canada here, 12, and no swimsuit. And we're standing, and I'm up to my knees in the water, and I'm waiting for the whistle. And I had my fastest kilometer time ever, because if you swim in the ocean, how long is it before it's above your chest?
Yeah, that's true.
I was running, and everyone was swimming next to me, all these swim team champions. And then when I got to about here, I dove in, jumped off of the water and dove in. And then as soon as I could touch my feet, I was doing that whole thing. I was breaking I was the fastest swim I'd ever done in my life, but it was so cold, freezing.
Yeah, my pool heater was broken for a while when I was training. So I would do some swims just with no wetsuit on, and whew, man, like that was a shock. But then
what temperature is it out there? Like when you're doing this, like what's outside?
So outside it would be like 60 degrees, but the pool would be like
swim.
Yeah, the pool would be like really cold. And so, or I mean, it might have got up to like 70, but the pool would be like 60 something, like low 60s. So it'd be really cold.
Yeah, I don't want to swim in that.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, so I personally, I decided not to even get into it, but the whole Remington James situation, dude, that whole situation blew my entire mind. I cannot believe how it went down. One, I will say I watched his final
apology type.
Yeah, I don't know if he's put anything out since then, but I watched that and I was like, in my head, I was like, why would you not do this at the start? I don't know.
I told him to.
Drama,
I wrote him, and I'm like, all you need to do is a real apology and do this and that. And I'm on the Zwift race, and then I get done the race, and I'm just do this. And then he does the, I'm like, that was a horrible apology.
It wasn't,
and I'm like, well, I'm not backing down that. Like, no one's going to accept it. And then, so then later it's like, what am I going to, and I'm like, just do a real apology, and look, it worked right away. And then people are like, you never even told what to do. And I'm like, well, I have text to say, I'm not going to post everything, but like, you know.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy how, and I think, I mean, this is so many people when you get a following, and I know Remington, I've actually met him years ago before he was like, when he was like small YouTube trying to make it like, and this is when I had maybe 100,000 subscribers. Like I was pretty new too. And I mean, he's always been a hustler. I could tell when I met him then. Right. And so I understand that he like wants to protect everything he's built. I get it. But it's like in my head, I was watching it, and I just don't understand. I don't know. For me, I don't understand why, if you're caught red-handed like that, why it doesn't even occur to you to not just come clean 100%. Because like that's always going. There's always going, no matter how clean you come, there's always going to be people that are going to lose respect, right? Which is kind of fair because you did something messed up. But like if you at least come clean, you're like, yo, this is what I did. That's going to be mitigated a lot, right?
Yeah, I think 90%, 95% are going to forgive and move on. Like even Jeff Cavalier with the fake weights, people actually get mad at me now that I can still joke about it, but I'm like, he never admitted it. Like if he had just said, hey, I used fake weights, I shouldn't have, like I got carried away, you know, I wanted to look strong. Who cares? He used fake weights. Like who gives a shit? It's just the fact that I'm just going to avoid that topic. Like to me, that's why it pissed me off.
I don't know. Personally, I feel like I can see where you're coming from, and I understand. While not everyone kind of sees your message, I feel like I understand it. And so that's why it's like, you know, I make the videos on you pretty often. Like we, you know, go back and forth. But man, like that whole situation, and there's been other situations when like it's so frustrating whenever you, at least in my opinion, from what's happened to me, if I feature someone on my channel, it's like people think I am now saying everything this person has done and will do, I condone. And it's so annoying because I'm like, I didn't know they were going to do that in the future. Like, why do I have to make a video every time someone that I don't know. It's the whole thing. But
for me, I'm like, the way I see it is whatever they decide to do after, that's on them. And whatever they did in their past that you don't know about, that's on them too. You can't be responsible for like everything that person does. And just because you were friends with them at one point doesn't mean you condone what they've done.
Yeah.
My honest opinion is they're actually doing it for views, and I don't think they actually believe it. Like, I don't know if they actually believe what they're saying. Like, there's another guy, Durian Ryder, he talks about me all the time, and I'm like, because he's into biking and stuff, and I'm like, there's no way he actually cares, like, or thinks what he does. I think it's just purely views. Same as Callie Muscle and Nick Jones, and I think that's his name, Nick Jones, Rick Jones, Nick Jones, Chris Jones. Yeah. Same. I think that it's just strategically, I'm going to try to get some views with Greg, maybe get some clout in that sense. Like, I don't actually think that they're actually like really mad in the real world. Like, I just can't picture it.
Yeah. I remember watching the Chris Jones's video where he talked about you, and I was just like, it was so funny reading the comments. People were like, bro, this is not it. Like, it's interesting though, because from what I have seen, that stuff usually backfires. Like if you just try and act a certain way, like you try and act like you're actually mad or act like you're this thing, like it usually backfires because you can only keep that up for so long. Because like it shows with a lot of these people, like their channels are going down because I think people subconsciously notice it, you know, and they're just like, it's
hard to be that great of an actor. That's what I'm saying. I'm not an actor. I don't know how. I just say what I really care about, and it's just going to come out whether I want to or not. There's no, and if you're not lying, it's not hard. Like, it's not hard to remember the truth. So just don't lie in the first place. Then you don't have to get caught doing anything ever.
Yeah. That's how I feel. But yeah, I mean, those were the only things that I was like kind of curious about or whatever.
Yeah.
More drama stuff, but I don't know. I just figured we had this chance. So I was like, we'll talk about this stuff.
Yeah. May as well. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to get a pre-workout in and go. I'm not sure if I'm weightlifting and biking or just weightlifting.
For sure.
One of the two. We'll see what happens.
Sounds good. Well,
it was great to chat with you. This was awesome.